Happy Tuesday! Today is April the 14th, 2020, and today I'm going to talk about Exodus 15, 1 through 8. And I'm going to talk about how you cheerlead people, how you're a cheerleader through hard times, or cheerleading through hard times. It hit me the other day that something, like we've missed out on a lot of things because of everything that's going on, and one of the things that I realized the other day is that this was like supposed to be Final Four season, right? I think last week, maybe the 5th, should have been the championship game for the Final Four, NCAA Final Four, and we missed out on that this year. And so all kinds of things we missed out on, and it got me thinking about some things, especially with the text today from Exodus. It got me thinking about cheerleaders and the jobs of cheerleaders. So the job of a cheerleader is basically to get the laos into it, and okay, the crowd. That's a Greek word. Laos means the crowd. Like when you hear your pastor say the word laity, right? The laity in the church. It kind of means the crowd. It means everybody that's not clergy, the way we use it. But it just means the people in general. And so the job of the cheerleader is to get the people into the game, especially when things are not going well. Your job is to help them believe when they've given up believing, or they're about to give up believing. You're supposed to get them back into it, get their minds back into it, get them believing again. And that's a hard job. That can be a really hard job, but that's what leadership is about, right? That's what the job of the cheerleader is. That it's kind of, I guess, a lesson for leaders in general, that the real leader is there before and after, no matter what, right? The cheerleaders are going to be at the games whether or not the season's going well, whether or not the team's doing well. They have to show up, and even though, like, they may have a hard time believing, they can't allow, they have to keep believing when nobody else does. And so they have to be there before, they have to be there during, they have to be there after, no matter what. If you're a leader like that, you can't just, show up and offer words of encouragement when nobody knows where you've been. Like, if you haven't been there, the whole season, whole like 8 weeks of a season or something, and then you suddenly show up and you're like, oh, hey, let's all get into this. People are going to be like, oh, good to see you. Who are you? Where have you been again? You have to be a good cheerleader, right? You have to be like Moses. And the real leaders, like Moses, travel with the people through the good times and the bad times, and more often than not, bad times, especially if you go back and read the story of Exodus, like we talked about yesterday, right? It wasn't ideal. Moses had already kind of messed things up. He did what God had asked him to do, showed up, told Pharaoh, you got to let my people go. Pharaoh's like, oh, that's right, I'm not going to do that. Plus, I'm going to make their work harder. And so you tell me how you like that. And so Moses finally, they go through all the plagues. Walks with the people through that. And here we read yesterday, found themselves with their backs against the water and Pharaoh's army sweeping in from the west to destroy them. And Moses was there, and this is where you see the role of the cheerleader, because Moses is the cheerleader for the people. He's the cheerleader for God. The people, he was with the people before God parted the waters and before the people believed anything like that could even happen. It hadn't even dawned on them that might be the miraculous thing that God might do. So Moses is the cheerleader at this point. He has to encourage the people to have faith in the face of Pharaoh's army. He led them then through the waters, right? So he stands with the people when things look dire, like it's, the last minute, buzzer is about to go off, it's final death. And then and he tells them, look and see what God's going to do. And then when God does act, then he leads the people through all the confusion that usually follows when God does something, because it can be a little bit chaotic. There's all kinds of books about how God worked through chaos, by the way. You might want to look those up. But anyway, he's with the people before the solution happens. He guides the people, cheers them through the solution, which can be a little bit crazy. And then because he's there with them through all that, he hasn't just, shown up after however many years, 8 years or whatever, wandering the desert and doing his own confusion, and then just says, hey, listen to me. No, he's been with them throughout. He wasn't, not sure how long the plagues took. Anyway, but he's with them, and then because he's there on the far shore, and then goes through them throughout the confusing time, he's there with them on the opposite shore in their safety, right? And because of that, that's why he gets the joy, the final joy of the cheerleader, right? The cheerleader has to be there throughout the whole season when things are horrible. And because they go and they travel with the people and they support the people and encourage them in their belief that we can do this and that God can do this, he gets to be there with them on the far shore and join in the song of victory and triumph with them, right? Which had to be an incredibly sweet thing. And that's what the text from Exodus 15, 1 through 18, is that whole hymn I talked about yesterday, this hymn of praise that retells in just bragging ways the story about how great God is and just how he kicked butt and took names, right? The main name he took was Pharaoh's. But anyway, so that's why he got to sing this song of victory when it was all over. He didn't just show up after, having not been there. He was with them the whole time. And that's why he got to sing the song of victory with them. Every Christian is a cheerleader, right? It's not just the pastor's job to be the cheerleader. The pastor, specifically, is a cheerleader for the faithful, for the louse, for the laity. But the reality is, in this world, especially at this time, we need all of you to be cheerleaders. Especially, working with young adults. I think sometimes, and this was my experience, I remember a long time ago, before the earth had finally cooled, that it was really frustrating for me because it seemed like you were always being told, well, you're not old enough to do this yet. Or no, you are in a position where, especially right now, the world needs you to be a cheerleader for them and for God, because there are a lot of people who don't even have the benefit of, like, the Hebrew children of Israel in bondage, seeing all the miraculous works that God had done. There's people that don't know God, they don't know Christ, and you are in a position to be a cheerleader for them. You are in a position to walk with the people now. And the awesome thing is that you'll be the one who gets to sing the songs of praises with them later. So, have a good day, get your pom-poms out, and start being a cheerleader. Bye. Boop.